Oh, it's not a cut. That's a slice.
Now this is a quack hook.
Oh,
Short
wow.
and into the right rough, headed to the trees.
Oh my God, it's a shank. He decided to re-tee. That's a shank. Oh, man.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Two-Way Miss podcast. Thank you, as always, for joining us wherever and whenever you might be listening and or watching. As always, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll plug that early and often. But I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Reggs, and I'm joined by my good buddy Banksy, who's looking very dapper with a new haircut and a sweet cat tower in the background to go along with the Civil War musket. I love it. He has a cat problem. We'll discuss this, but Banksy, long time no see, buddy. How's everything going?
It's been a while. Everything's good, man. Everything's good. We just, before we came on air, just talking about life and schedules. And yeah, I think there was a mention of maybe, wish we could go back to those college years.
When did we become adults? When did
I don't
this
know.
happen?
I don't know. It sucks, though. I mean, there's plenty of good stuff, too. But
Right.
yeah, when you, the part that sucks is there's so much shit you don't want to do
Yeah.
that you have to.
Yeah.
But
Right. And like you said, some of it's good. Like, yeah, it's a pain in the butt to get to that many, like a bunch of practices. And like I ran you through like my family's practice schedule from Tuesday to Sunday and what that looks like. And it's like, yeah, I enjoy bringing them to practice and I enjoy coaching them and doing all that stuff because they enjoy it. But then you're just like, man, you look at it in like a calendar, it's just like a block of stuff from like, the minute that work ends to 8:30 at night till they go to bed. It's weird. But I think we settled on we'd go back to college. We'd still have about 3/4 of our current salary.
Yeah.
And I think we'd be good.
Yeah. We'd be okay. We'd figure it out.
Our tastes would be a little more refined.
Some of our taste. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Mine at least. Just
yours, yeah.
Not greatly, but just a little bit. I feel like we'd have a lot more cigars. That's something we didn't talk about
for sure
before, but I feel like there'd be a lot of like every other night we'd be sitting on the back porch having a cigar and like a whiskey or something.
Yeah.
Seems like a thing we would do.
Yeah.
And then there'd be lots of golf.
Much more golf.
And there'd just be a lot of like just sitting down and watching things.
Yeah, just sit down.
Like,
yep.
Yeah, you want to watch that game? Yes, I do.
Yep. You want
to not be interrupted? Yep.
For the next 3 hours?
Yep. You want to watch golf for 9 hours today? Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Oh, man.
Maybe when we retire someday.
Someday when we retire, we're going to be living very close to each other, and this will be our lives.
This will be it.
It's going to happen. It's only 29 years from now. Hey, look at us.
Like that.
Under 30 years.
Between 20 and 30 years. We'll say it.
Yeah.
We'll say that one.
Well, yeah, you got a big inheritance coming that I don't have, so you might get there a little quicker than I do.
Stop.
But
that's not true.
You can just help me out. You can buy the condo next to you, and I'll come and live there.
I'll be your landlord.
That's fine. I'm happy with that. I will gladly do that. All right. Well, I guess some golf stuff has happened. I guess we have to acknowledge that it's been since like July 20th that we recorded an episode.
Hence the schedules and life and
look, people. We made this very clear on this podcast. We don't get paid to watch golf. We don't get paid to follow golf. This is just something. There's the cat, one of many cats. We just enjoy it. And sometimes there's just nothing fun to talk about, especially when you're not paid to talk about it. Like, we're not going to come on and give some sort of false excitement for, like, even the FedEx playoffs. Like, I didn't care who won the BMW.
Yeah.
Or the whatever the other one was. I don't even know the names of them. Like,
I'm a little, I don't know. And maybe I'm a little nervous golf wise moving forward. I know there's a lot of big plans in the works, but
we still don't know what's going to happen.
Right. But it worries me a little bit that I have a hard time sometimes, like getting pumped for golf tournaments. Like, on TV.
Because a lot of them are just boring, man.
Yeah, it's that worries me a little bit. I hope it changes. But yeah, it is. It's just kind of like ho hum stuff, and it doesn't capture
I
me
mean,
like
yeah,
it has in
it's
the past.
because it's split in half.
Yeah,
It's watered down on both sides. Live is god awful because nobody cares. And why would you watch something where people can not have to play well to win
yeah,
a lot of money? Like,
professionals.
yeah,
Right.
who cares? There's zero competition in those golf tournaments. And then for the PGA Tour, like even in the playoffs when it's supposed to be like the best guys, competing and all that stuff, it's just hard to get that juice going for a tour championship where somebody gets 10 strokes just for being in first place, like
Yeah.
right off the rip. Like there's just not a lot of things outside of the majors and the Ryder Cup
That are getting the
that get
juices
you
flowing.
amped up. Like again, there's
Yeah.
some tournaments like Riviera. Great.
Riviera
Would watch that all day.
Yeah, players.
Absolutely. You're going to pick API or Memorial. Probably not watching both. You're probably going to pick whichever one, you happen to have time to watch on that particular weekend. You and I like the Hawaii swing, at least the first one at Kapalua,
Yeah,
Golf's back, it's the guys who won. So generally it's a pretty good field.
right.
It's good scenery. It's been the winter, you're just looking for sunshine and
Yeah,
and anything. So that's, that's good. But like outside of that, like what are we watching? Like what other
Yeah.
tournaments?
yeah. There's definitely been the fall off with those split tours has been more significant than I think I would have been prepared for or what
Yeah.
I thought. But yeah, it is. It's just like, man, I really hope this gets better.
Yeah. I mean, like Phoenix, you'll watch just for the entertainment of it.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Like what else? Like I can't even we like this stuff and we can't even think of tournaments that like we want to watch. We've named like 5.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of distractions too. I think that takes some of the joy of watching the game away when you do have these competing tours now and these administrative people come in and dropping bombshells all over the place during the golf season. It's just it's a distraction.
Yeah, there's an uncertainty, there's distractions. These tournaments have lost juice because all the best players aren't in them. Like, listen, Liv took some good players that made you tune in.
Yeah, people that you want to watch.
Yeah, and you want to watch compete against the other people.
Right.
Yeah, it's just it's tough, and this is coming from guys who like golf enough that we started a podcast that like we're not famous, like we don't get thousands of listens. Like we do this because we love golf and we wanted to talk about it. And even us are like struggling to find some excitement in these things. But I think until this, quote unquote framework is figured out and until everyone kind of gets back together, and I think it's going to even take like an overhaul of the PGA Tour schedule. Like I just think there's so many garbage events that nobody wants to watch.
Yeah, combine, have co-sponsors in a tournament or, and then just make, take some of those garbage events, take the main sponsors from those garbage events and put them into like one, like massive.
Well, yeah, you think sponsors have to pay half the money,
Yeah, and
Maybe.
put it make it a huge purse and just
Yeah.
be like tournament sponsored by blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah.
and just make it a huge purse. Yeah, I don't know. But you're right. There's so many irritating, like, little events. That's not the road we necessarily were going to go down.
Yeah,
first
right.
thing.
I know, it just kind of
Like,
happened.
saying how, but there is definitely
But there's
a
like
law.
there has to be a reason for two guys like us to not want to talk about golf for a month and a half.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
it's big time.
Like, and especially because more often than not, the best part about this for both of us is just talking to each other. Like but like, we got really busy. Like I even said this to Azzy when we like first because we had like a good month in between our like 2 episodes ago and our last one. Like even we got busy, and again, it was just talking to my buddy. Like that's what we missed out on. It wasn't missing podcast, wasn't a big deal.
Right.
But it was just like we can't even think of a good enough reason to just get on onto the Discord and talk for 20 minutes. Like I love you, but like, we could text about stuff and like there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
But, stuff did happen. The FedEx Cup playoffs happened. Somebody did win it. So I guess, we can talk about that. Again, not something that particularly gets my juices flowing, but look, we got to talk about it. So your winner of the FedEx Cup, Viktor Hovland.
Viktor.
I'm not sure either of us would have seen that coming.
No, because he hasn't quite proven himself yet, and he's that guy who is very good. And I would say this all the time during our podcast. He's on the leaderboard one day, then he's off the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Then he climbs back on the leaderboard, and then always falls short. So, but I mean, it's like one of those things where, you're waiting for him though. Like he's a really good player. And he took care of business. Played some freaking awesome golf.
Yeah. I mean, again, he finished 7th at the Masters. Finished 2 strokes off Brooks at the PGA. He won the Memorial, which was his biggest win to date. Shot 61 at the BMW, which was crazy. Won the Tour Championship technically, and won the FedEx Cup. I think we're hoping that this is kind of the stepping stone that we all were kind of waiting for Viktor to have. Again, he had won like a Puerto Rico and a Bermuda, but like those aren't real events. Those are like alternate field events that don't matter one bit to sort of your credibility as a PGA Tour winner. But the Memorial's a big event. The Tour Championship, you kind of have to argue, is a big event. It's a big one to win. Winning the FedEx Cup means that you were very consistent over the entire golf season. I think we see the talent. Everyone sees the talent and the ability. He's sort of fixed that chipping problem that he had.
Yeah.
And
he did.
The expectation now is more wins like the Memorial, eventually a major win. Like that's the expectation now.
And I feel like we do that to every player that goes on a hot streak and wins some golf tournaments. We say, okay, that's the expectation now. And then they kind of falter. So
yeah. Do you think it's any different because he didn't win a major, that there's still, I think we say that and then somebody wins a major and then they don't compete in the next 3.
Yeah. And again,
like even Rahm, for as much of a heater that he was on,
yeah,
and he goes and wins the Masters and then really turns into nothing for the next 9 months.
And again, our generation growing up, we're just forever spoiled by Tiger.
Yeah.
Because he was there every single week, or every time he played, he was there. And we just don't see that. We see it in short spurts, but we don't see the longevity.
Yeah.
Like you look at Rory finally getting back into contention in a lot of tournaments, but he's not winning them.
Yeah.
And Scheffler had a great season, finished high, but
the greatest strokes gained season ever.
Yeah. Yeah. But that such a long stretch of consistency from Tiger will just forever spoil, I think, people like us and probably, people a little bit older than us,
Yeah.
because that's what we watched and that's what we became used to. And then you watch these other guys who have these crazy spurts and they look unbeatable.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, like this guy's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, this is never going to stop.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, it's been like 3 months and so and so hasn't cracked the top 20.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, that's the thing. The tour, like, these events are just out for the taking right now until, especially with these tours being split, and then if the tours do come together, those guys have been playing live for the last 2 years are gonna need time to get their competitive mojo back, if it comes back. If they're all making a ton of money anyway, they still might not care. Like, people aren't going to care about wins. But I think it's good. I think it's great for Viktor going into the Ryder Cup. I think he brings good energy to the team. I think he brings good energy to the course. He's he seems like a pretty outgoing guy when he needs to be.
Yeah.
He's young. He plays a lot. We see him a lot because he plays a lot. So I really like his win going into the Ryder Cup. I'm excited to see how he plays in a couple weeks.
Yeah. I think this is something. I think if we really think about it, this is kind of something that we all expected he could do. I think if you talked about Viktor Hovland and just the talent that, like, a lot of people forget that, like, him and Matt Wolff and Colin Morikawa all turned professional at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And those were like this group of guys that everyone was like, these are the guys. Like, This is, who's going to sort of carry the PGA Tour after the Spieths and the Thomas and the DJs and all that kind of stuff. Like, those three were kind of the next wave of guys to be coming through. And Morikawa obviously has his 2 majors. Still, seeking kind of he had a very good season statistically. Someone put it that he had a lot more even weeks. He didn't have those like super high peaks and valleys, but those peaks are when you win. You play your lights out and you win golf tournaments. But if you're very consistent, there might not be a lot of wins, but you have a very good overall season.
Yeah.
And Viktor's only 25. Like, he's not in his golfing prime yet. So it's interesting that he's accomplished this at this age when everyone was sort of looking for that, hey, here's Viktor Hovland moment. Again, it doesn't come with a major this year, but this is a pretty big deal for him, for a guy who was sort of searching for that big breakthrough. Like, this is a big deal. A lot of really great names have won the FedEx Cup. Like, it's not like there's a bunch of schlubs who have won this thing.
Yeah. So what major does he get first?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like it's probably a Masters or a PGA. I think he plays pretty well at the Masters.
Yeah, I say PGA. Now, with his improved short game, though,
I think he could win an Open Championship too. I think, depending on the course, that guy, he drives it really far and really straight, and
he does.
Is one of the best iron players in the world. So I think an Open Championship, depending on where it is, could be something that he could win.
Don't get hurt and don't change your swing.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it looks like it would hurt my back the way he swings, but
yeah.
I'm not 25. But But you're right. It's exciting that he did this going into the Ryder Cup, and that's the next thing we're going to talk about. Because the European team was really needing some more guys outside of Rory and Rahm, honestly.
Right.
And it's good to have another European player be playing really well. And now is a guy that I don't like. Viktor Hovland should probably never not be on a Ryder Cup team for the next 9 years. You know,
and I don't think he's scared of anybody.
No, I don't think so either.
I think he's willing to play anybody. I don't think he gets intimidated.
No, I would agree.
So I think that's not only is he playing well, but he's not scared of anybody. So
yeah,
you're 100% right. Like they needed somebody playing well to come in to give them that jolt of energy. Because on paper, here again, the American team, they definitely have the edge, but playing on foreign soil and playing, Europe's main guys who've had good seasons this year, you just never know. And some of the wild cards that we have on our side, it should be an exciting week.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump right into it. Since we're talking about a European guy, let's jump into Team Europe. So I think let's give the people a little preview into what we're going to talk about. So the teams have been established. All the captains' picks have been made. The tournament is not for another 2 weeks. Next week, barring anything crazy happening in the world of golf, you probably won't hear from us. But that next Wednesday on the 20th, we should have at least the day one pairings. We'll have another pod. We'll go through all the day one pairings, and we'll sort of give our overall predictions for the Ryder Cup and what we think about the pairings that we know about. But right now, we just kind of want to go through the teams, give our initial reactions, kind of give you what we think about this event, this year, how it's going to go. But for our, main predictions, things like that, you can see that the Wednesday before the tournament, will start. So let's go through Team Europe here. So you have Ludwig Aberg, Matt Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Tyrrell Hatton, Nikolai Højgaard, Viktor Hovland, Shane Lowry, Robert McIntyre, Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Justin Rose, Sepp Straka. Your captains: Luke Donald is the captain, Thomas Bjorn vice captain, Nicholas Colsaerts, vice captain. The Molinari brothers are vice captains.
Wow.
And Jose Maria Olazabal.
Holy shit, that's quite the coaching squad.
Yeah. So initial thoughts on Team Europe here. Obviously, two big rookies in Aberg and Højgaard. Those are the guys who kind of are storming the European tour right now. I think they're like 22, if that. So this is kind of like that. Really, the only person from past Ryder Cups that you could kind of call the old guard is Rose.
Yeah, I'm glad he's back on the team. Like he's played well enough.
Yeah.
This year. I'm glad he's back on the squad.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a new era for this stuff. No Poulter, no Westwood, no Sergio, no Henrik Stenson. Guys like that who have been on a bunch of European Ryder Cups. This is kind of Rory and Rahm have sort of been that transition, and Lowry to a certain extent. And now you've got guys like Aberg and Højgaard and Fitzpatrick and Hovland. They're trying to sort of bridge that gap between that old guard and the new. And I think the thing I appreciate is that they're putting these young guys in now because by all accounts, these guys are already very good and will only get better. So why not throw them in now? Why not get them used to the team? Why not get them used to this event? What's it going to hurt? You're on home soil. You already have a massive advantage. The U.S. hasn't won a Ryder Cup on home soil for 20 years or something.
No, it's crazy.
So, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
And I think it's great that those two are on the team.
Right. And historically, that's been one of the European team's biggest things is their camaraderie. So they're going to make these young guys feel welcome. They're going to give them confidence. They're going to, pump them up, get them ready. And I think those young guys are, they're so prideful to play for their European team. I mean, they're going to try and play their ass off.
Yeah. And they can absolutely crush the ball. Like they absolutely bomb it. I mean, I feel like the locks and the big hitters, obviously McIlroy, Rahm are your top two. I don't care what order you put them in. Those are your big dogs. Viktor now, I think, is like kind of third on this list. I'm not sure who else on this list kind of overtakes him as the third best here.
Yeah.
I think sort of after Viktor, you have the Matty Fitz, Tommy Fleetwood kind of, section of the team.
Fleetwood's played well. Fitz has he's got a major. European toughs. I mean, they're going to be tough.
Yeah,
they're going to be tough.
And then you round it out with Hatton, who's played pretty well this season. Lowry, who's really like he's just a team guy. Like I think you put him on this team because he's gonna be that guy that holds everyone together. Yeah,
he's gonna play solid.
Yeah.
Hatton, I hope he's a madman. Like I hope he's crazy. like just like crowd surfing.
Yeah.
I want to see Tyrrell just freaking crowd surf.
Yeah. And then, McIntyre, Straka are kind of a little bit of the unknowns. They both have been playing well, but they're not typical Ryder Cup names. I think it's their first Ryder Cup for both of them. So from this team, you have 4 Ryder Cup rookies. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of play. Again, if you're going to do this, these guys are the guys you put when you're in Europe playing a Ryder Cup.
Yep.
And then who knows what you'll get from Rose, but he's been through enough of these things that nothing's going to really phase him. It's just what kind of game does he bring to the weekend?
I think he's going to play solid, but I don't know if you'd expect like massive amounts of points. Like right. I think he's going to like have matches.
Yeah.
Maybe squeak out a win. Like he'll play solid, but he's not. I don't think he's going to dominate anything.
Yeah. And then look, the absolute wild cards are the rookies. Like they have the talent to absolutely like pop off.
Yeah.
And like win every match they see. Like that's the talent that they have.
Right. With the crowd behind them.
And again, they're both like 22 years old.
Yeah.
So it's a good European team, I would say. It's not it's names that we recognize, but maybe some older folks who watch the Ryder Cup a lot, like there's not those guys that you are expecting to see him, but this is where Team Europe is. Like they're in this period where these guys have to step up.
I think it's almost, I don't know, maybe it's a relief in some way. Like you can finally listen. Poulter, Sergio, they've been mainstays for so long. And I think, they got their last hurrah. I don't know if I say hurrah because they got their ass kicked, but I think it's a European it's like, all right, we're moving on from that past.
Yeah.
This is the new, this is the fresh. So I think
absolutely.
I think Team Europe's kind of in a good place right now by, like you said, putting those guys trial by fire. Like go play some freaking golf, man.
Yep. All right, let's get to Team USA. So, Team USA is Sam Burns, Patrick Cantlay, Wyndham Clark, Ricky Fowler, Brian Harmon, Max Homa, Brooks Koepka, Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas.
Who's that last one?
Some guy. Your captain is Zach Johnson. Your vice captain, Steve Stricker, Davis Love III, Jim Furyk, Freddie Couples, Stuart Sink. And throw in Michael Jordan down there somewhere.
Yeah, he's got it. He's going to be there.
Of course.
Nothing makes you feel better than going into a Ryder Cup with Justin Thomas hitting balls with surrounded by pool noodles and whatever other shit he's
So
out there
the USA
trying to
team,
find.
the USA team is interesting. I think let's just go through the no doubters. Scotty is a no doubter. Xander is a no doubter, been playing really well. Despite
Whatever.
what we think of Xander, he played well this season. I think Homa's a no doubter. Cantlay, despite what we think about him, is a no doubter.
Dude, you're such a homo guy.
I am. But he's played great this season. Like, why would you not put that guy on the team? And then let's get to the rest. I think Wyndham Clark and Brian Harmon are on this team because they won majors. They automatically qualified based on the points.
Right.
These are not two guys that you probably put on this team. Let's just be honest. Unless they automatic qualify, these are not two guys you probably put on this team. Is that fair? Like, am I fair in saying that?
Oh, 100%.
Ricky, obviously playing well. I don't know. Has just like a so-so Ryder Cup record. So that is what it is. Morikawa, again, has been very consistent this year. So I think he was a pretty easy choice. Koepka had his major and then really hasn't played well since then. But look, if you need a guy...
Had a baby.
Sure.
Had to have some
if you need a
family
guy
time.
who has the talent like to come into one of these things and play well, I'm not too mad about Brooks Koepka being on the team.
Right. The only thing is he better not have a pissy attitude.
I don't think he did the last Ryder Cup.
Oh, stop it. Yes, he did. Oh, yeah, golf, it's just not really a team sport. He just throws off shit vibes.
I feel like
and
people...
Don't tell me he doesn't.
Okay, fine.
So he better have a good attitude.
You're fired up. I like it. All right.
Going into the week.
I think like Spieth and Thomas might be the biggest question marks on this entire team.
Dude,
and that's so weird to say because they've been unbeatable in Ryder Cups.
Dude, that's such a therapy session for Spieth. Like, there's no way Justin Thomas should be anywhere near this team based on his play.
But the two of them don't lose in Ryder Cups. Like, they don't lose.
Right. Like, who else could you put Spieth with? Justin not on the team. Who else could you put Spieth with where Spieth wouldn't be a complete freaking mental case? Like, that is all that is
Ricky, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. You put Spieth, the biggest head case you've ever seen.
Scotty would lose his shit with Jordan next to him. Why is he talking to himself so much? Like, what is going on?
Is he okay?
Yeah.
No, like that's what it. Like
these two are the biggest question marks, and they're possibly the greatest Ryder Cup duo we've ever seen. Like that's what's happening right now with this team.
My concern is both of their putting. Like Justin Thomas, out of all the shitty golf he's played, his putting has been horrible.
But it's not like Jordan's been Jordan.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what makes me nervous. You're putting these two together, and neither of them can putt. Like that's what kind of worries me the most. I think.
Yeah.
Neither of them can putt. But Spieth would be an absolute mental case if Justin Thomas wasn't on the team.
It's just the biggest. No one knows what's going to happen because both of them are coming in not with their best game, and Justin might be playing the worst he's ever played in his whole life.
And you had guys,
but the dichotomy of that is that these two together in a Ryder Cup don't lose. They don't lose. And now you're going to Europe trying to win a Ryder Cup after you demolish the European team at Whistling Straits.
Yeah.
And the team that never loses is coming in with possibly their worst form ever. Like ever.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping that when Justin Thomas steps up to the tee box, he doesn't duck hook it. You know what I mean? Like that's what you're hoping.
Yep. He's gonna duck hook it left. Spieth's gonna chop it in out of the rough.
Yep.
And then they're gonna be having to.
And then he's
save
gonna
pars.
flare. He's gonna flare an iron right.
Oh,
Justin's gonna have
Michael.
to chip it again. Or Jordan's gonna have to chip it again, and then Thomas is gonna miss the putt.
Oh yeah, and then Thomas is gonna have a 6-footer.
Yeah.
For par, blow it by 3 feet.
Right, and Jordan's gonna miss it.
Miss
the comebacker. Yep. I am fascinated outside of those two what these pairings are going to be. I think also Xander and Cantlay are a lock to be paired together. They've been paired together for a bunch of these, the past Ryder Cups. I think that's pretty much a lock. I am fascinated to see what the rest of these pairings are. Absolutely fascinated.
Like, who do you put Harman with? That's not going to annoy the shit out of who he's playing with. He just seems like an annoying person. You can't pair him with Brooks.
That was my first thought, though, because you need
but Harman's a slow player. He's going to drive Brooks
But you
nuts.
need a big hitter, so maybe it's Burns. Burns hits the shit out of the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just, Wyndham Clark even, maybe. They both can mash the ball.
Yeah.
But you need someone who hits the ball far with Harman. You can't put him and Morikawa together. It's just not going to work.
Right. So do you put Brooks and Morikawa together?
That's probably not a bad idea. Almost like the DJ Morikawa pairing that did pretty well.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. I think Scotty, I don't know. Scotty and Max, maybe? Max's putting has been pretty good, and they both hit the shit out of irons. Their driving's pretty similar.
Scotty's putting's not been good.
But their ball striking and things like that, they're going to be close to holes, and even with Scotty not putting well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
just the pairings for this are going to be really interesting.
There's odd personalities, and I think Brooks almost needs to play with another top player. You put him with anybody other than a top player.
It might be him and Ricky.
Okay, that would work.
I feel like that would work.
I don't think Ricky would be intimidated by Brooks. Because again, Brooks, he'll get in a pissy mood and he'll start putting off vibes of this guy sucks. Why am I paired with him?
Yeah. So if we had to, let's try and put this together right now. Spieth and Thomas, done. Xander Cantlay, done. We know those 4. So that leaves us with Burns, Clark, Fowler, Harman, Homa, Koepka, Morikawa, Scheffler. So I like the Koepka Morikawa. I think that's a good one.
Okay.
I like that pairing.
Okay.
So that leaves us with Burns, Clark, Fowler, Harman, Homa, Scotty.
Did you put Harman with Scotty?
I think Harman and Burns would be better.
Okay.
Because Harman, is the ball striker. I don't know if Burns has been that great of a ball striker. With how Scotty's striking the ball, you need a putter. You have to put him with probably Homa or Fowler. Guys who are just really confident over putts. If anything, they hit it by because they're so confident about their line. I just think those are the guys you need with Scotty.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Burns Harman, I think will be one.
Okay.
And then who's left? Ricky, Wyndham, Homa, Scheffler.
Wasn't Ricky and Brooks going together?
No, Brooks and Morikawa are going together.
That's right, Brooks and Morikawa. So Ricky.
So let's say Scotty, Max, and Ricky, Wyndham. That's a tough one. That could just be your bottom pairing. You know what I mean? Who cares?
Yeah.
Scotty and Max would be a pretty good one.
Scotty and Max. Okay.
And that would leave Wyndham and Ricky together.
Sure. Why not? The two that, yeah, why not?
Played together in the final round,
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting.
It's going to be
it's gonna
very
an-
interesting with how this
it's gonna
shakes
be
out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an interesting team room.
It's going to be. Yeah, I'm just fascinated about who they're going to pair together. Fascinated.
Man, I wish these guys, caddies and players, should be 1,000% mic'd up for the entire.
But if you're going to ask me, like, if I asked you right now, who do you have more confidence in, Team Europe or Team US? Like, which is it?
I would have said before we talked about it, I would have said Team US.
But I think after talking about it, it might be Europe.
Yeah, like as we keep breaking this down,
there's
and all the factors, like I'm leaning more towards Europe. Yeah, for sure.
It's just slightly less volatile. Like less could go wrong, I guess is the best way to put it.
Less can go wrong.
Like the US has a huge ceiling. Like where they could get to with the talent is probably much higher than Europe.
Yep.
But I feel like the floor is much lower than Europe. Like I feel like Europe has a pretty good baseline.
Yeah.
And the US is just like, you're just like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going to happen. Yep. I have no idea what Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas are going to look like when they step on the tee. Oh my gosh,
I can't wait. It's going to be a disaster.
I have no idea what they're going to look like.
It's going to be and God, that caddy, that Thomas Bones, it's got to end. It's got to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's going to be a disaster.
It's going to be good stuff. I can't wait to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that was a pretty good preview of the teams. Again, we are fascinated to see what's going to happen, especially with the U.S. pairing. So we will be back, barring anything crazy happening, in 2 weeks. We will go over the day one pairings and matchups. We will give our full predictions on who we think is going to win. All that good stuff. So catch that 2 Wednesdays from now on the 20th, right before the Ryder Cup starts. But good to be back with you, buddy. Good to break that down a little bit. It was fun talking golf again. Hopefully all of you out there enjoyed it. Good to be back. Good to be talking to everybody. So obviously we have to end the show with a couple plugs. Number 1, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. You get to see our beautiful faces. You can catch our other podcasts. Sometimes we throw little shorts up there, just of little reaction videos that we do. So, all good stuff. We are trying to be on the road to 100 subscribers. So come with us, join the party, come along for the journey. We appreciate you. You can find us wherever you find your podcast. Doesn't matter. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google. Leave a review. Leave a comment. Let us know how you like it. Let us know what you think of the podcast. We appreciate all the feedback. If you want to, you can follow us on Instagram at BMB Podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at the Two-Way Miss. You can follow that lovely man right there, Mr. Fairbanks, at Fairbanks C23 on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter at Big Regs with a Z. We appreciate all of you. Thank you for bearing with us as we sort of went through the doldrums of PGA Tour golf. But now we got something exciting to talk about, so we're happy to be back. Hope that you all have a nice next few weeks. We will be back in 2 weeks to go through the matchups of the Ryder Cup and wrap that all up before the tournament actually starts. But as always, we appreciate you all. We will be back in 2 weeks. Thank you again for listening or watching, and we will catch you on the next one.
Oh, it's not a cut. That's a slice.
Now this is a quack hook.
Oh,
Short and into the right rough, headed to the trees.
Oh my God, it's a shake. He decided to re-tee. That's a shake.